This year particularly is interesting because you were, as I understand it, co-chair of the DCCC, I think it's called Red to Blue initiative, but basically you vetted a lot of the candidates for the House of Representatives. Take us into that process. How did you go about picking candidates you thought could help the Democrats recapture the House of Representatives?
Well, you know, David, over the last year and a half, I have met with over 400 potential candidates, and we really look for candidates who haven't necessarily run for office. We have many first-time candidates, but who are a good match with their district and are really going to speak to those issues that families care about at home. One of the defining issues of this midterm is going to be health care, and many of the candidates that I've worked with and that are now very close to becoming new members of Congress were inspired to run when they saw House Republicans taking away health care from millions of people. That's going to continue to be a defining issue, and our candidates are doing a wonderful job of connecting with the concerns of voters at home and letting them know they're going to be their champion and voice in Washington and as a member of Congress.
So, Congressman, one of the things you can't help but notice is the number of women that are running, particularly first-time women running, as well as the number of vets. And when you set out for this task, did you specifically say, I'd like to get more women, I'd like to get more veterans?
I am always interested in getting more women. And I think what we're seeing with our women veterans is really a call to service. So many of them are, they've already served their country in a profound way, serving in our armed forces. And they felt that call again this year as our country struggles with our values and where we're going. And I think what's so great about our women candidates and our veterans is they are such authentic voices for the issues, whether it's healthcare, whether it's rebuilding America through infrastructure, cleaning up our political process. Women understand these issues and are really, being seen by the voters as authentic voices for them in our political process.
So these congressional races are obviously district by district. At the same time, there are national trends. Until recently, there was a lot of talk about a blue wave. People are really starting to question that, including Bernie Sanders, who you'd think would be right in the center of that. He said, I think just yesterday, I happen not to believe there's going to be this great blue wave this year. What is your perception of this blue wave? Do you think that President Trump is cutting into it? Because his personal approval rating is up, and he's got a pretty strong message he's out there on the stump with.
I can tell you that we always said that these races are going to be close, and that is proving to be true. But what is really incredible is how well Democrats are doing. And again, it comes back to what is really the main question of any campaign. Who's going to fight for me? And what we've seen, whether it's taking away health care, taking away protections for people with pre-existing conditions, not addressing the soaring costs of prescription medication, or passing a tax bill that benefits the very wealthiest and our largest corporations instead of hardworking American families, is that Republicans aren't fighting for me. They're not seeing me. So I think what we're going to see and continue to see are close races. We face a lot of structural barriers. A lot of our candidates are doing well in very gerrymandered districts, not because of the fact that they are connecting with voters. They see the challenges and the barriers for families, and they are committed to making sure that everyone has a fair shot at success in this country.
Congresswoman, we're 2 weeks away from the election still, and I know that's a lifetime in politics, but I think it's fair to talk about what would happen if actually the Democrats did take over the House. You're running for a senior leadership position there. What would be the Democrats' plan if they did in fact gain a majority in the House of Representatives?
Yeah, I'm running for a leadership position to continue the work that I've been doing with candidates and make sure that we have an inclusive leadership and inclusive caucus that brings in the diverse voices. That is the power of the Democratic caucus, is our incredible diversity that reflects that of the American people. And when we can open up our agenda to put those issues and challenges that are facing families at home back in the center of the agenda that we create, we are going to meet with great success for the American people. And I think...
Sorry.
at the key of that is our For the People agenda, which starts with healthcare, goes to infrastructure, and I hope the first bill we take up will address dark money in campaigns and making sure we have transparency.
So before you get to that first bill, you got to vote for leadership. Are you going to vote for Nancy Pelosi? You have something like 60 of your colleagues who won't take a position on that or are against it.
Yeah, I think that our candidates shouldn't be necessarily taking a position. I think that they should wait and see what happens. We are all working as hard as we can to regain that majority, regain the voice for Americans. But we also know that we are going to have a leadership, and I have supported Nancy Pelosi in the past because she is strategic and she has helped me with the issues that matter to my district, whether that's addressing the opiate crisis, soaring costs of child care, and the burden it puts on working families.
Last question, heaven forfend, but are there some things you could agree with the president on if you were in the majority? For example, infrastructure spending. Would you agree with him on that?
Well, I think it depends on, I hope that we will be able to put together an infrastructure bill that he will agree with, and that will mean a true investment in our communities. I've been very surprised that we haven't seen that, and what we've seen from the administration has been cuts to housing, cuts to transportation, and investing again in those very wealthiest Americans. We can't make that winner circle so small anymore. We need to make the investment in hardworking Americans and make sure that they have access to quality education, health care, and good roads and bridges to build our economy.